Assalamu alaikum and welcome back, sisters. You're watching Women's AM with myself, Liz, and joining us on the panel today, we have Sister Nazia, Sister Yasmin, and our special guest this morning is Aisha Tariq. Every week on Women's AM, we'll be joined by Sister Arfa, who will be taking your questions about marriage, and she'll be giving you advice on any marital issues you may have regarding this, or if you're getting to know somebody for marriage or have any divorce questions. So please do call in, but please don't ask any fiqh questions, as that will be better suited to the sheikhs on Islamica, inshallah. Today, we'll be talking about attraction and looks. So, sisters, shall we get the ball rolling? Who's got some questions for us? We're going to go to Sister Arfa first, and then I'm going to come to you with your questions, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Arfa.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Arfa. Can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum, sisters.
Okay, so I think, inshallah, get Sister Arfa. We're going to get Sister Arfa to talk a little bit more about the topic of attraction and looks, inshallah.
Okay, just okay, assalamu alaikum. My name's Arfa and I'm the author of Marriages Are Made in Heaven and The Marriage Crisis. I'm also founder and prolific writer for the Muslim Marriage Guide. I have a background in psychology and marketing, and I've worked closely with several well-known mashaykh on the topic of marriage and family life. In this segment, I hope to advise sisters with any questions that they have about marriage. Today's topic is all about attraction. Just how important is attraction when searching for a spouse? With people increasingly being exposed to images of beauty and perfection in the media and couples divorcing because they aren't attracted to their spouse, many would argue that looks are an essential part to making a marriage work. What are your thoughts? Please call into the studio or email us, inshallah, and I'm going to be on hand to give any advice. Okay, sisters, over to the panel. So what do you think about this topic?
Jazakallah, Sister Arfa. I think it's a really interesting topic, actually, and I think there's obviously lots of questions that sisters come up with. Sister Nazia, can I come to you with the first question?
Okay, so my question is, we're seeing increasingly in the communities that when people are looking to get married, one of the first things that they do or request is an exchange of photographs.
Yes.
And then what also ends up happening is often it doesn't go beyond the photographs and people actually just reject it. What is that right? Do you think that's the way it should be?
Question to Sister Arfa.
Could you repeat the question, please, because I didn't quite catch that?
Okay, Sister Nazi was talking about often photos are exchanged when you're looking for a marriage partner. Photos are exchanged quite early on, and sometimes people can be dismissed very quickly as a result of what's seen in the pictures. Is this right or wrong? Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Okay, well, I would always say that you've really got to look at every single thing. You know, certainly attraction is definitely one of the key components, but it's not the overall residing component. I would always recommend that sisters always do their background checks. You should get character references for the person. Does their character check out? Do they have a good rapport in the community? Do people get on with them? Are they a good person? You know, see what their friends and family have to say about them. And if everything checks out, and, you know, the attraction, of course, it is some part of it, but you don't want it to completely influence your decision. So if somebody is average looking, but they have an amazing character, can you make that marriage work? Because long term, you have a much greater chance of being happy with somebody that you have a greater affinity to, a greater compatibility with, someone who's got a good character, than being with someone who's very attractive, but doesn't treat you very well. So that's always something that I would always advise to sisters. Don't just dismiss anyone just on the basis of that.
Okay, thank you, Sister Arfa, some great advice there. Next question, Sister Aisha.
Yeah, just leading on to that, you know, we need to ask for character reference and just research more about the person. But when it comes to social media, like online marital websites, how do you overcome that? How do you get to that stage? Because you can get a bit carried away with, you know, whatever's presented to you, and then you know, how do you get the character reference in there, and you know, when you're actually just communicating with the screen?
Okay, so that's an excellent question, and it's a very valid point. So the first thing that I would always recommend to sisters is, if you can get your wali involved in the communications, always absolutely do that. That's so crucial to the whole conversation. Don't ever take the onus upon yourself, because you know shaitan is always going to be whispering in the background, oh, this person's really good looking, let's overlook some of this person's faults. Okay, and you must, even if you are, it doesn't matter whether you're meeting someone, whether it's online, whether it's offline, you still got to do your due diligence. So go and get character references from their friends, and this is really important, because the Prophet ﷺ actually said that if you want to see what a person's character is truly like, you've got to go and see their friends. Look at their 5 friends that they are closest to. I would even go as far as to saying to the sisters, go and get character references for the actual friends that they're hanging around with, and you will get a pretty good idea of what this person is like and whether or not this person is worth pursuing or not. And the final piece of advice, like any sensible person who is going through the entire marriage process, don't be dissuaded by the looks and don't let that put you off. You must get your family involved. If you take the onus upon doing it yourself, you're going to run into problems because, you know, Shaitan is always going to be whispering in the background.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Some fantastic advice there from Sister Arfa, and I think some really good things for us to think about in terms of, you know, how we go about picking a partner and the checks that we do before. So some of the advice Sister Arfa has given is actually very rigorous checks, and I think that's some really good advice, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Sister Arfa. Marriage can only work if both parties are invested in making it a success. Inshallah, with patience and commitment, marriage can be a real mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of today's show, but do join us again tomorrow when we'll be discussing the revert's Ramadan. We talk a lot about the Ummah, so why do so many new Muslims feel lonely or isolated during this holy month? Join us tomorrow live at 11 a.m. for this discussion. Plus, our Surah Mulk challenge continues, so tune in to get the second ayah and translation. Before we go, here is another quick reminder of this week's competition.